The aroma of roasting turkey and simmering tension filled my parents' sprawling Victorian home. I smoothed my simple black dress, bought off the rack at Macy's, a detail my sister-in-law Safia would surely mention later, and took my usual seat at the far end of the dining table. The quiet one spot, as they'd labeled it years ago. Olivia, darling, my mother called from her position of authority near the carved turkey. How's that little office job of yours? Still working those long hours for that? What was it again? Investment firm, Mom, I replied softly. Blackridge Capital. My brother Marcus snorted into his wine glass. She's just a secretary there, he announced to our extended family gathered for Thanksgiving dinner. Pushing papers, answering phones. Real exciting stuff. I took a small sip of water, letting his words roll off me like they had for the past 5 years. 5 years of building something extraordinary while they thought I was just another corporate drone. 5 years of being the family disappointment while quietly becoming one of the most powerful women in tech. At least she has a job, Aunt Patricia offered with a kind of defensive praise that felt more like pity. In this economy, that's something. My cousin David, glued to his phone as usual, barely looked up. Yeah, not everyone can be as successful as Marcus. Didn't your hedge fund just close another major deal? Marcus straightened his designer tie, a gift from the company he thought he'd impressed. If he only knew who really owned that company now. $800 million in new investments, he bragged. Largest deal in the firm's history. I hid my smile behind my napkin. The deal he was so proud of. I'd orchestrated it to one of my shell companies. My brother had spent 3 months negotiating with my team, never realizing his little sister was the one behind it all. Now that's real business, my father declared, beaming at his golden child. Not just pushing papers and getting coffee. Mom nodded in agreement. Olivia dear, perhaps Marcus could help you find a more suitable position. Something with actual growth potential. I thought about the empire I'd built. Quantum Dynamics, a technology company revolutionizing artificial intelligence and machine learning. We didn't just have growth potential. We were reshaping the future. But they didn't know that. They didn't know that the quiet daughter they dismissed had just closed a deal worth more than their combined net worth. I'm fine where I am, I said quietly. The work suits me. Sophia, Marcus's trophy wife, rolled her eyes. That's the problem, Liv. You've always settled for fine. No ambition, no drive. Just sitting quietly in your little cubicle while the rest of us actually make something of ourselves. The room murmured in agreement. Even my younger cousins, who once looked up to me, now saw me through the family's carefully crafted lens of disappointment. Little did they know that tomorrow morning, Fortune magazine would release its annual 500 list, and with it, the carefully maintained facade of Olivia Bennett, humble secretary, would crumble. The thought almost made the turkey taste better. Speaking of success, Marcus continued, swirling his expensive bourbon. We're closing on the Peterson account next week. Finally managed to outmaneuver that mysterious tech company that's been buying up everything in sight. I nearly choked on my water. The Peterson account, a billion-dollar investment portfolio I'd been quietly acquiring through various subsidiaries. Marcus thought he'd secured it, but the papers finalizing my purchase had been signed this morning. David, still scrolling through his phone, suddenly sat up straighter. His eyes widened as he stared at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. Holy shit, he whispered, just loud enough to catch everyone's attention. Language, Aunt Patricia scolded, but David wasn't listening. Olivia, he said slowly, why is your face on Fortune's website? The room went still. Marcus reached for David's phone, but his younger brother held it away, reading aloud instead. Quantum Dynamics CEO Olivia Bennett joins Fortune 500 list. The secretive founder of the $2 billion tech empire. His voice trailed off as the implications hit. I set down my fork carefully, enjoying the way the color drained from Marcus's face. The way my mother's perfect posture crumbled slightly. The way Sophia's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. $2 billion. My father choked out. That's impossible. You're his secretary. I smiled, reaching for my bag. Actually, I said, pulling out a glossy magazine. An advance copy of tomorrow's Fortune issue with my face on the cover. I think it's closer to $3 billion now. The market's been quite favorable lately. The turkey was definitely getting cold, but I'd never enjoyed a Thanksgiving dinner more. The silence that followed my revelation was interrupted only by the soft thud of Sophia's wine glass hitting the tablecloth, spreading a crimson stain across my mother's pristine white linen. This is a joke, Marcus finally managed, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Some kind of prank. I pulled out my phone, opening the banking app that few knew existed, a private platform for ultra-high net worth individuals. Would you like to see the numbers, brother? Or perhaps we should discuss the Peterson account you think you're closing next week? His face went from red to white faster than the spreading wine stain. The Peterson account? That was you. Quantum Dynamics owns 60% of the investment portfolio you've been chasing, I said calmly. We acquired it this morning. Congratulations on your negotiating skills, though. You only overpaid by about $200 million. Dad's hands gripped the edge of the table. But your job, at Blackridge Capital, is real, I confirmed. I do work there. I just didn't mention that I own it. Bought it 3 years ago through a holding company. Marcus has technically been working for me this whole time. The turkey was completely forgotten now. Aunt Patricia's fork clattered against her plate. David was frantically Googling my name, his eyes growing wider with each new article he found. Oh my God, he whispered. The mysterious tech CEO everyone's been talking about. The woman who revolutionized artificial intelligence. That's you. Mom found her voice, though it trembled slightly. Why didn't you tell us? We're family. I met her gaze steadily. Like you told me I'd never succeed in business. Like Marcus told me to stick to answering phones. Like Sophia suggested I focus on finding a husband, because I clearly wasn't cut out for the corporate world. We were trying to protect you, Dad protested weakly. No, I corrected. You were trying to control me, to keep me in the box you created. The quiet one. The failure. The one who couldn't possibly build something extraordinary. My phone buzzed. A message from my CFO. Our stock just jumped another 12% in after-hours trading. The Peterson acquisition is already paying off. Marcus pushed back from the table abruptly. I need to call my office. They're closed for Thanksgiving, I said mildly. But don't worry. The termination papers won't be delivered until Monday. He froze. Termination? Quantum Dynamics has a strict policy against insider trading, I explained, pulling up another document on my phone. Your recent activities with the Thompson Fund violated several SEC regulations. As your employer, through Blackridge Capital, I'm obligated to report it. You're firing me? His voice rose. Your own brother. No, Marcus. I'm holding you accountable. There's a difference. Sophia stood up, designer dress rustling. You vindictive little. Careful, I interrupted. Your prenup has a morality clause. Marcus's illegal trading could void it completely. Though given his imminent legal troubles, there might not be much left to claim anyway. The room erupted in chaos. Mom was crying silently. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. My cousins were furiously whispering among themselves, while Aunt Patricia appeared to be praying. I stood, smoothing my simple dress. I should go. I have an early meeting tomorrow. We're acquiring another AI firm in Singapore. Time zones, you know. Wait, Dad called out. Please. We can fix this, as a family. I turned back, my hand on the doorframe. Family? Was it family when you cut off my college fund because I chose computer science instead of business administration? When you told everyone I was having a breakdown after I quit my first job to start coding? When you bet against my company in its early days, hoping I'd fail? We didn't know, Mom whispered. Exactly. You never asked. You never saw me. You were too busy celebrating Marcus's mediocrity to notice my success. Too convinced of your own superiority to see that the quiet one was building an empire. David suddenly spoke up. The Charity Foundation, the one funding tech education for underprivileged kids. That's yours too, isn't it? I nodded. Someone had to break the cycle of judgment and privilege. Might as well be the family disappointment. My phone buzzed again. Miss Bennett, your car is waiting, my driver texted. Don't leave like this, Mom pleaded. Stay. Talk to us. I have been talking for years, I replied. You just never listened. But don't worry, you'll be hearing a lot about me now. It's harder to ignore a billionaire than a secretary. As I walked out, I heard Marcus's phone ring. Probably his broker calling about his rapidly tanking investment portfolio. Tomorrow, when the news broke about his insider trading, he'd have bigger problems than his sister's success. I paused at my car, looking back at the house where I had grown up feeling invisible. Through the window, I could see them all still frozen around the dining table, their perfect Thanksgiving shattered by the truth they'd never bothered to see. My driver opened the door. Where to, Miss Bennett? I smiled. The office. It's time to finish what I started. Because this wasn't just about revenge. It was about reshaping an entire industry, about proving that success doesn't always look like they expect it to. And I was just getting started. The morning after Thanksgiving, my face was everywhere. Forbes, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, all running the story of the secretive tech billionaire who'd built an empire in silence. The quiet revolution, they called it, if they only knew the half of it. I sat in my real office, not the modest cubicle at Blackridge Capital, but the entire top floor of the Quantum Dynamics Tower downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city I'd quietly reshaped over the past 5 years. Your mother's called 6 times, my assistant Jessica informed me, setting down my morning coffee. Your father's trying to reach the board members, and Marcus, well, Marcus has bigger problems now. I pulled up the morning news on my tablet. SEC investigates major hedge fund for trading violations. The headline was diplomatic. The reality was anything but. The family lawyers are in the lobby, Jessica added. They're insisting on an immediate meeting. I took a sip of coffee. Let them wait. I have more important matters to handle. My phone buzzed with a text from David. Holy shit, cuz. Just saw the stock price. Why didn't you tell me? I smiled, remembering his face last night when he'd first seen the Fortune article. Of all my family members, he was the only one who'd ever shown genuine interest in technology. Maybe it was time to give him a real opportunity. Miss Bennett, Jessica interrupted my thoughts. The Singapore acquisition is ready for final approval. I nodded, turning to the wall of screens displaying real-time data from our AI systems worldwide. Another piece falling into place. While my family thought I was pushing papers, I'd been pushing boundaries. The intercom buzzed. Your brother's wife is here. She's quite insistent. Send her up, I said. Time to finish what last night started. Sophia burst into my office like a designer hurricane, all branded fury and expensive indignation. She stopped short, taking in the vast space, the view, the clear evidence of power she'd never believed I could possess. "You destroyed him," she spat. "Your own brother." "No," I corrected calmly. "Marcus destroyed himself. I just refused to cover it up. He's facing criminal charges. He's facing consequences," I said, standing. Something this family has always been remarkably good at avoiding. She threw an envelope on my desk. "His career is over. Everything we built, everything you stole," I interrupted. "Did you think I didn't know about the embezzlement? The offshore accounts? The clients you and Marcus defrauded?" Her perfect composure cracked. "How? I own the banks you used, the firms you thought would hide your transactions. When you're quietly building an empire, you learn to watch everything." "What do you want?" she whispered. I sat back down, straightening a stack of papers. "Want? I don't want anything from you, Safia. I have everything I need. The question is, what are you going to do now?" "What do you mean?" "Marcus is facing federal charges. Your assets are frozen. That prenup you thought would protect you, it won't. Not from this." She sank into a chair, designer dress crumpling. "You thought of everything, haven't you? That's what the quiet ones do. We watch. We learn. We plan." My phone buzzed again. A news alert. The Peterson acquisition was public now. Our stock had jumped another 15%. "There is one option," I said carefully, "if you're interested in salvaging something from this mess." "What?" "Tell the truth. All of it. Help the SEC unravel Marcus's schemes. In return, I'll ensure you have enough to start over. Somewhere far from here." "You do that? After everything?" "I'm not doing it for you," I said. "I'm doing it for the principle. Someone in this family should finally choose truth over appearance." She stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Where do I start?" As Safia left my office 30 minutes later, clutching a stack of documents that would help federal prosecutors, Jessica appeared with an update. "Your parents are still in the lobby, and the board of Harrison Tech, your father's company, is calling an emergency meeting. Apparently, their major investors are getting nervous." I smiled. Harrison Tech, the company that had cut off my college fund, that had bet against my success. Their stock was already falling as the market realized which side of the AI revolution they'd chosen. "One more thing," Jessica added. "David's here. Says he has an idea he wants to pitch." "Send him up," I said. "It's time this family learned what real mentorship looks like." My phone lit up with another text from my mother. "Please, Olivia. We need to talk. As a family." I typed back a single response. "I'm in my office, top floor of the building with my name on it. Come see what your quiet daughter built while you weren't watching." Because success isn't just about proving people wrong. It's about showing them exactly who you've been all along. And I was finally ready to be seen. The morning sun glinted off the Quantum Dynamics logo atop our building, visible from my parents' house across the city. Let them look up and remember, sometimes the quietest voice in the room is the one you should have been listening to all along.